everyone, welcome to the shop. For today's video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to finish tile edges. So before we get into how to finish tile edges, I just want to explain why we should finish tile edges. So imagine you have a bench in your shower and you have 2 tiles meeting up to each other on the outside corner, and one tile has an unfinished edge like this. That just looks unfinished and unprofessional. The 3 methods I'm going to show you today will elevate your tile install and also give you a much more professional install overall. So the 3 options we'll go over today are a profile piece, which looks like this, a pencil, and a tile bullnose, which has a finished edge on one side, but is essentially just a tile. So these 3 options are going to all depend on your style choice for your tile installation, whether it's a shower, backsplash, etc. All of these pieces have various materials as well. The profiles come in various finishes, also come in different materials. The pencils also come in a ton of different materials and shapes. This one just happens to be like a square piece. And then this, for the bullnose, these also come in various materials as well, like natural stone and different, obviously, colors and stuff like that, and sizes. For example, for this bullnose piece, you can see that from the example I showed earlier, just to have a finished edge like this, say this was a shower bench, looks much more clean and polished versus the example I showed earlier. You'll be able to see shortly the finished look that each profile gives to your tile installation so that you can select the best one for your project. So the tools you're going to need to finish your tile edges are going to be already what you have out for your tile installation, such as your bucket of Thinset, your margin trowel, your notch trowel, bucket of water with a sponge, your tile spacers, and your wet saw. So the wet saw can be used to cut the bullnose tile if that's what you're choosing to use, or your pencil. It can also be used to cut the metal profile trim, but I suggest using a miter box with a hacksaw. It's just a much safer option. So I'm going to get started with the bullnose tile. Behind me here you see a tile wall. This would represent something like your tiled shower that's meeting up to the drywall outside. As you can see, we have a bunch of raw unfinished tile edges here, and we want to clean those up and make them look much more professional. So starting with the bullnose tile, like I said before, this is just a regular tile with a finished edge on one side. So I'm going to install this here and give you an example of how that would look finished. I'm going to install this using proper tile installation methods by first burning in Thinset to the back side of the tile using the flat side of the trowel and doing the same exact thing to the wall. The next thing I'm going to do is take some extra Thinset and apply it to the wall and add my notches. The notches should be going in the shortest direction of the tile so that air can escape quickly when you are flattening the ridges. Next, I'm going to clean it all up and I'm going to add my spacers and make sure everything lines up properly. This is how it will look when it's all complete. So for the next finish, I'm going to demonstrate installing a pencil liner. Before I install the pencil liner, I'm also going to bring my tile installation out one more piece and then add the pencil liner. Using the same exact steps I showed you for the bullnose, burning in the back of the tile, burning in the wall, adding my notches and installing the tile, and then I will show you the method for installing the pencil liner. So now I'm just going to get ready to add my pencil. I've just made sure that I added enough notches here to cover where my pencil is going to go. This is going to follow the same rule as installing tile. You want to make sure you're getting 100% coverage or as close to as possible behind this pencil piece. So I'm just going to take my margin trowel with a good amount of Thinset on it, and I'm going to aim to just burn in the Thinset here. I want to fill up this channel with Thinset and also make sure that there's Thinset all over the profile piece so that when I embed it in the Thinset that's on my wall, I get very good coverage and it's not going anywhere. So it should look something like this. It's a little messy right now, but we'll clean it up. I'm just going to clean along the edge of my tile here with my margin trowel, just like on a 45, to get any clumps of Thinset that's in there out so that it doesn't build up. Now I'm going to lay down my pencil piece and I'm going to do the same thing, give it a nice push back and forth and embed it in the Thinset really well. So I'm going to do the same thing for the second piece. Now I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Take off my excess Thinset out here by the wall. Now I'm just going to wipe down the tiles with my wet sponge. So because this is tile to tile, you should always honor a grout joint and have some sort of space between each of your profile and your tiles. If you wanted to make the grout joint a little smaller here where the pencil meets the tile, you can do so by using something like this. This is a tile wedge. It's a good option for spacers to make micro adjustments while you're tiling. You can just add a little bit of space in your pencil to make it look uniform. But you always definitely want to have a grout joint. For here on the horizontal grout joint, I am just going to honor our regular size grout joint because I want everything to line up. So I'm going to put a regular grout joint there and then just leave my wedges here just because that's how I like the way it looks like that. So the last tile edge we are going to install is the metal profile edging. But first you have to cut it to size. So basically you're just going to measure it with a tape measure and use a marker, make your mark. And if you're cutting it on a wet saw, you would just cut it like you would a tile, but I'm going to use the miter box. So I'm going to set it down in my miter box and then use my hacksaw and cut it that way. Okay, so when it's all done, this is what it's going to look like. So we're going to follow the same steps that we have been doing for the previous two tile edges. And once I get to the step to install the profile trim, I will show you what to do. So now to install the metal profile trim, you want to install it first before you set the tile, and you want to make sure that you are embedding it all the way into the Thinset. So I'm going to press it down and I'm going to move it back and forth. Make sure that it is embedding in my Thinset. Sometimes you can take your margin trowel and press the leg, which would be this side, down, and what you want to see is the Thinset coming up in between the legs where these triangles are here. So one last step that I like to do is before I place the tile onto the profile, on the side where the profile is going to sit behind the tile, I like to add a little bit more Thinset. Now, I'm not saying to add a heap like this. It's just going to be like a little bit more so that when the tile sits on top of that profile, there's definitely enough Thinset there to cover it and adhere. I just feel like this might not be enough to cover up all of those legs there on the profile. Alternatively, you can take your notch trowel and add more notches on top of the profile. So you can just go back with a little bit more Thinset and add your notches again, running over the profile. So now once it's installed, you want to make sure that you're adding your spacers in. I'm just going to go ahead and add my horizontal spacers in. Now, this profile trim does not have a spacer, so if you install this right up against your tile, you will not have a spacer there to fill grout in. So I am just going to take my wedges and I'm just going to add a tiny spacer, just like I did with the pencil profile, to add room for grout so that it looks more uniform with a finished installation. You should never have two hard surfaces touching with no grout joint. So that's my way of just adding a little bit of space and creating more uniformity overall for the tile install. So now that we're all finished installing your 3 profile edge options, I'm gonna let this dry, grout it, and add some caulking so you can see the finished product. So now that we have everything all grouted and finished up, you can see the difference for all of the profile choices, whether it's a metal trim profile, a pencil, or a bullnose here. You can see that all of them give the finished product a little bit of a different look. So depending on your design choice for your project, you might make a decision on either one of these. So for this wall here, I just wanted to demonstrate, this would be something like if you had a tiled shower meeting up to your drywall outside, this is kind of how it would look and represent inside your bathroom. And then here on the drywall, you would finish it, paint it, and you'd have that nice finished edge going along your tiled wall. Using any one of these options will give you a much more finished and professional look, as opposed to just having your tile with a raw edge on the outside like that meeting up to, say, your drywall in a bathroom, or on the outside corner of a bench like I demonstrated earlier. That concludes this video. We talked about 3 options to finish tile edges. I hope this video helps you on your next tiling project, and we will see you next time.